everyone, Paul Foley here. I'm the Chief Information Officer here at Liquex. Today I'd like to take a moment to answer a user community question relating to smart contract creation for your ICO. Specifically, I'd like to take a look at things that we'll consider in and around your ERC20 code. Now, I know what you're thinking. We're an exchange. Why are we looking at your code? You spent days or weeks on it and you're paying to list your ICO on the exchange anyway. Shouldn't we just be happy that you chose us and get on with it? Well, no. That's not the way things work here at Liquex. Let's start by taking a look at what we're doing. When a company comes to Liquex and asks us to either list their token or deliver ICO services, we're not just going to send an invoice and say thank you. No, we're going to check your project documents to start with. So your white paper, your tokenomics, and any associated information. We're also going to perform KYC on you and your company. And once we're happy that everything's above board, we're going to have a look at your source code. One of the reasons that we do go the extra mile to make sure that you, your project and your token are something that we're happy to stand behind is because once we've approved you, we will also stand behind you with our partner network of exchanges. So you actually get to utilize, if you like, our reputation. Before we go into looking at your code, let's see what we're expecting as a very minimum. Now obviously we're talking about an ERC20, so if you're wanting to do a different coin, this will be slightly different, but an ERC20 is a good starting place for most people. So let's start by looking at the functions you're going to provide in your token. We know that via the Ethereum standard we have 6 functions and 2 events. We also have the possibility of custom functions. Those functions are pretty vanilla. We've got total supply, balance of, allowance, transfer, transfer from, approve, and in terms of events we've obviously got transfer and approval. Given that I've just said that we think you're going to implement the functions and events that are defined by the Ethereum standard, you might be wondering what we're going to check. The Ethereum standard is a guideline, and whilst it does specify a number of things, the individual implementations allow for wiggle room and enhancement. So we know that there could be problems with your data type manipulation under certain circumstances, as an example. And we also know that even if your logic is fine, there are ways of getting the maths to fail in a smart contract. On top of this, there are also known vulnerabilities and attack vectors such as replay and short address attacks. I should mention that I'm talking about the common issues here and not going into more specialized things that we check. I'm happy to tell you what sort of things you should be checking and implementing, but obviously I don't want to give away everything we're checking for security reasons. That being said, let's have a look at how you can address some of these points. So, data types. In your code, if you're dealing with numbers, use numeric data types rather than parsing strings or generic object types. Or alternatively, use a strongly typed language such as Go instead of Solidity. Obviously I mentioned Solidity because at the moment that is seemingly everybody's favourite for writing ERC20s. Now, in order to prevent underflow and overflow exploits, you can use math libraries such as Zeppelin's Safe Math Library. The under and overflow exploits occur when somebody tries to assign a value to a smart contract that would cause it to roll back from 0 or roll forward from its maximum numeric value. So for example, if you subtract 1 from 0, the result will be the max number instead of -1. In terms of known vulnerabilities, we have things like the replay attack. This is where a double spend can be implemented by running the same transaction over two different blockchains. This one has been corrected back in EIP 155, but I've included it as a good example of how a double spend could have been implemented. We then move on to short address attacks, which were discovered by the Golem team. This attack takes advantage of an issue with the Ethereum virtual machine and effectively facilitates getting a lot more for your money than you'd expect. I'm not going to specify how this attack works in detail, nor how to implement it for obvious reasons, but there is a simple fix. So, how would we suggest that you guys work in order to be as agile as possible whilst also maintaining control of your project? If you're a dev or have a dev team, the temptation is going to be pretty strong for you to just get a coin created and start sharing or selling it with people. We'd strongly advise that you don't do this, because if we need to change your coin, you'll need to recall those initial coins and explain why you're recalling them. We would, however, recommend that your project team create your white paper first, has it reviewed, and you work out your tokenomics. So what are you going to do with the tokens that you generate? How many will go to the partners? How many will be used to pay for legal costs? How many will be used as a bounty for hackers, etc.? And what value do you intend launching your coins or tokens at? I'm not going to go into tokenomics or how you value your token here, as both of these are subjects for another day. We would advise that you then consider what functionality you'd like to build into your token. So for instance, if you'd like people to be able to pay you in Ether and or to issue your tokens, this needs to be considered now, along with any other ideas that you may have. At this point, you can either build your token yourself or outsource the creation. You should, however, be wary if you outsource the creation of really cheap offers. This is one of those things where you get what you pay for. Once you're happy with your smart contract, you can then pass us the code and we'll audit it. If there are any issues, we'll give you the opportunity to fix them. Once your smart contract passes our audit, we'll give you a certificate and advise you to deploy when ready. Once you've told us when you're going to deploy the token, we'll arrange a marketing campaign to the exchange's community and also make our partners aware of the dates and marketing activities. You'll notice in the illustration that I have actually mentioned that we do offer a number of these services. Most of the people that come to us will be small companies who would like to do most of this stuff themselves. But for those of you who don't have the technical ability or access to the teams to do this stuff, get in touch with us and we can have a talk about it. And if you contact us early enough, we can also perhaps contribute to your understanding of tokenomics and what goes into the white paper overall. So that's a brief overview of what we're expecting from you when you provide us with your coin for listing on the exchange. We know that there are a lot of exchanges out there that aren't auditing coins or companies, but we're not one of them. As I've mentioned before, we're attacking the exchange business from a perspective of trust. So if we have people transacting in a given token or coin on our exchange, we'd like to know that firstly the company behind it is sound, and secondly the token itself is technically sound and as far as possible free from defects. And as I mentioned, once a token is listed with us, we will introduce it and the company to our partners, so a little extra work up front provides you with a lot of benefits on the back end. I hope that I've explained our position and that you can appreciate our decision to try and bring a little trust to the crypto space. Thanks for taking the time to join me, and we hope to see you at Liquex soon.